This is part 3. So we just finished talking about the 3 different philosophies: Confucianism, Taoism, and legalism. Now we're going to talk about some parts of Chinese life. So when we learned about India, we learned about the caste system. That's how society was broken up into different groups of people. In Chinese society, there are different social classes, which is a group of people in the same cultural, economic, or educational level. So at the very top would have been like the king and his family, or the emperor. And then below him would have been the aristocrats. So we talked about them. They were very wealthy. They owned lots of land. The land was passed down from father to sons. And then I skipped down to the very to the bottom would be the farmers. So most people in society would have been in this group. So it's kind of like a triangle. The people at the bottom is the most people, and there were very few people at the top who are very wealthy. So most people were farmers. They rented fields. A lot of them only owned a little bit of land for themselves, and then the rest of it they had to rent from other people, and they had to pay taxes for it. They would grow wheat, grain, and rice a lot of the time. And then they were forced to work for 1 month each year on a government project. So this could be like roads or something that the emperor wanted to build. And they were also forced to serve as soldiers in times of war. Above the farmers would have been artisans and merchants. Artisans were the people who like made things basically. So they would make tools and weapons or like silk cloth. Just any object that people would need would be made by the artisans. And then the merchants would be the ones who would sell the items. They provided goods and services to the aristocrats, the higher up people. So they would be shopkeepers, traders, and bankers. So they would basically distribute the things that the artisans made. These merchants were not respected by society. People thought that because they weren't making anything like the farmers and the artisans were, that they were just selfish and getting money the quick way. So a lot of people didn't like them. Now we're going to look at Chinese families. They're similar to Indian families that we learned about because family is the center of society. It's very important. In Chinese culture, they believed in a concept called filial piety, which means that everybody has a responsibility to respect and obey their parents and also to take care of their parents when they're old. So they wouldn't have a concept of like nursing homes like we do today. It was very important to take care of your parents as they got older. As in most ancient societies, men were more respected than women. They had more power. They were the leaders. They were able to work outside the home. Now we're going to move on to the Qin and I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but the Qin and Han dynasties. So Qin changed China by unifying the provinces, so like the different groups or territories in the empire. He wanted absolute control, and he did that by giving harsh punishment to anyone who did not agree with him. He increased governmental power, and one of the ways that he did this was by giving jobs to people as censors. So they were government officials who watched over people to make sure they were behaving correctly. So he was like very, very strict, made sure everybody who worked for him was doing it perfectly. Another way that he united all the provinces was by creating a currency that everyone used, the same type of money, because before this, a lot of people had different types of money that they would trade. So by everyone using the same type of money, it just brought them together as a nation. He also created a standardized writing system, so everybody was writing in the same way. And he also created lots of building projects. One of these was the Great Wall, which was created to keep the empire safe from invasions. Sometimes nomads who lived in the desert would attack Chinese settlements. They wanted to protect themselves from them.